You will spend roughly 6 years of your life dreaming. 6 years of vivid, bizarre, emotionally charged experiences. Stories that feel completely real until the moment you wake up and they dissolve. And for all of that time, for all of those years, scientists have been arguing about what dreaming is actually for.
Because here's the honest position. We don't fully know. Dreaming is one of the last great unsolved mysteries in neuroscience. We know a great deal about when dreams happen, what the brain looks like during them, and what they tend to contain. But the question of why, what function dreaming serves, why evolution kept it, is still genuinely contested.
That said, what we do know is stranger and more fascinating than most people realize. And the leading theories, even where they disagree, reveal something remarkable about what the sleeping brain is doing while you think it's just resting.
Let's start with the basics. When do we dream?
Dreams occur primarily during a specific phase of sleep called REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. During REM, the eyes move rapidly beneath the eyelids. The brain becomes highly active, almost as active as during waking, and the body is effectively paralyzed. The major muscle groups are switched off by the brainstem, preventing you from physically acting out your dreams.
This paralysis is called REM atonia, and it occasionally goes wrong in interesting ways. Sleep paralysis, the phenomenon where you wake briefly but the paralysis hasn't lifted yet, leaves people conscious but unable to move, sometimes with vivid hallucinations of presences in the room. Many sleep paralysis experiences across different cultures have been interpreted as supernatural visitations. The old hag in British folklore, the kanashibari in Japanese tradition, demonic figures in medieval European accounts.
All the same neurological glitch, the REM paralysis lingering a few seconds past waking, with the dreaming brain still partially active and generating imagery.
REM sleep cycles through the night, with the longest and most vivid REM periods occurring in the last few hours before waking, which is why the dreams you remember most clearly tend to be the ones you were having just before your alarm went off.
Now, the big question: why do we dream at all? The leading theories fall into a few broad camps, and they're not mutually exclusive.
The first, and perhaps most widely cited, is the memory consolidation theory. The idea that sleep, and specifically REM sleep, is when the brain processes and stores the experiences of the day, sorting through what happened, deciding what to keep, what to connect to existing memories, and what to discard.
The evidence for this is strong. Studies consistently show that sleep improves memory, particularly for complex skills and emotionally significant experiences. Matthew Walker, the neuroscientist and author of Why We Sleep, describes REM sleep as a form of overnight therapy, the brain replaying emotional memories in a neurochemical environment that strips away their raw distress while preserving the informational content.
During REM sleep, levels of noradrenaline, the brain chemical associated with stress and anxiety, drop to their lowest point of the entire day. Walker argues this creates a safe space for the brain to reprocess difficult experiences. You revisit the memory without the full emotional charge it carried at the time. And over successive nights, the emotional sting diminishes while the factual memory remains.
This has implications for PTSD, where the normal REM reprocessing appears to break down. The brain revisits traumatic memories but can't strip away the distress, leading to nightmares and intrusive re-experiencing. Some PTSD treatments, including certain medications, work partly by modifying REM sleep chemistry.
The second major theory is the threat simulation theory, developed by Finnish neuroscientist Antti Revonsu. His argument is that dreams evolved as a biological rehearsal system, specifically for threatening situations.
If you look at the content of dreams across cultures and across recorded history, they disproportionately feature threatening scenarios: being chased, falling, being in danger, failing at something important. The pleasant, uneventful dreams where everything goes smoothly are actually less common than people assume. The drama and threat is the norm.
Revonsu argues this is not accidental. Dreams evolved to simulate threat scenarios so the dreaming brain could rehearse responses, emotional, physical, strategic, without any real-world cost. You practice being chased while lying safely in bed. When a real threat arrives, your brain has, in some sense, been there before.
There's supporting evidence in the fact that people with more active dream lives tend to show better emotional regulation when awake. And the content of dreams often tracks real-world concerns. People in dangerous environments or going through difficult periods tend to have more threatening dreams.
A third theory, the default mode network hypothesis, comes from more recent neuroscience. The default mode network is a set of brain regions that activate specifically when we're not focused on the outside world. When you're daydreaming, introspecting, thinking about other people, imagining the future, or constructing narratives about yourself, the default mode network is running.
And during REM sleep, the default mode network is highly active. Dreams, in this view, are the default mode network doing what it does. Generating narrative, making social and emotional inferences, constructing simulations of possible situations, but without the corrective input of sensory reality. So the simulations run unconstrained, producing the strange, associative, loosely constrained quality of dream.
This theory fits with the observation that dreams are fundamentally social. They almost always involve other people. They're full of emotional relationships, social conflicts, misunderstandings, reunions. The dreaming brain is consistently and obsessively practicing the social world.
There's also a creativity angle that's worth mentioning. The associative, loosely constrained nature of dreaming, where unrelated concepts get linked, where normal rules don't apply, appears to be genuinely useful for creative problem solving.
The chemist August Kekule famously claimed that the structure of benzene, a major breakthrough in organic chemistry, came to him in a dream in the image of a snake eating its tail. Paul McCartney has said that the melody of Yesterday came to him in a dream. The sewing machine inventor Elias Howe reportedly solved the key technical problem of needle placement through a dream.
There's experimental evidence behind the anecdotes. Studies have found that people are better at solving certain types of insight problems that require making unexpected connections, after REM sleep than after either non-REM sleep or wakefulness. The lucent associative networks of the dreaming brain produce connections that the focused waking brain would never make.
Now, what about the content of dreams? Because there are some consistent patterns that show up across cultures and throughout history that are worth examining.
The most common dream theme, reported across virtually every culture that has been studied, is being chased or pursued. This fits squarely with the threat simulation theory. The second most common is falling. Third is arriving somewhere unprepared, an exam you haven't studied for, a performance you haven't rehearsed.
These are remarkably universal. Ancient Egyptian dream records, compiled in documents called dream books, describe the same themes. Medieval European dream interpretation manuals describe them. They appear in the earliest written literature. Whatever dreaming is doing, it has been doing the same things for as long as humans have been recording their inner lives.
There's also the question of why dreams are so strange, so illogical, so full of sudden shifts, impossible events, people who are somehow two people at once, places that are simultaneously familiar and completely wrong.
The neuroscience answer involves the prefrontal cortex, the region most associated with rational thought, critical evaluation, and executive function. During REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex is significantly less active than during waking. The part of your brain that would say, "Wait, this doesn't make sense," is largely offline.
So the dreaming brain generates narrative, which it does well because the storytelling regions are active, but without the editorial oversight that would normally catch the logical violations. The result is stories that feel completely real while they're happening, but that couldn't survive a moment of waking scrutiny.
This also explains why lucid dreaming, the ability to become aware that you're dreaming while remaining in the dream, is relatively rare. It requires a partial reactivation of the prefrontal cortex, the very region that's normally suppressed during REM. People who can lucid dream have developed, through practice or natural disposition, a way of switching that region partially back on without waking up entirely.
And lucid dreaming research has been genuinely useful for dream science. because lucid dreamers can signal to researchers from within a dream using prearranged eye movements, allowing scientists to study specific dream states with a participant who is simultaneously experiencing and communicating about them in real time. It's one of the stranger experimental setups in all of psychology.
So, where does all of this leave us on the question of why we dream?
The honest answer is probably that dreaming serves multiple functions simultaneously: memory consolidation, emotional processing, threat rehearsal, creative association, social simulation. These aren't competing theories. They may all be true at once, different aspects of what the sleeping brain is doing during its nightly deep dive.
What seems clear is that dreaming is not a passive or accidental side effect of sleep. The brain during REM is extraordinarily active, more active than during much of waking life. Something important is happening. The evidence that disturbed or absent REM sleep causes real cognitive and emotional problems is robust.
We are not resting when we dream. We are doing something that evolution has maintained across millions of years, across every human culture, every night of every life. We just haven't quite worked out yet exactly what.
Which is a humbling thought, and also a rather exciting one.
Thank you for listening to The Why Behind Everything. Please subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. It genuinely helps us keep going.
Next time, we're asking, why do we find things funny? Laughter is universal, but what actually makes something funny, and why does humor so often involve discomfort,